Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you've been relying on a personalized soundtrack for, I don't know, the last decade?
Oh, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. Spotify's Discover Weekly. After 10 years of, well, just running in the background, this iconic playlist is getting its first major functional refresh.
And it's not a small tweak.
No, this is a wholesale change to how one of the biggest music platforms is thinking about discovery.
That's right. We've been looking at the sources detailing this, and it's a profound shift. I mean, Spotify is finally addressing this critical tension, the
That-
struggle between, the mystery of the algorithm giving you a surprise
Yeah.
and the user's desire for actual control. The black box is finally opening up a little.
So our mission today is, well, it's pretty ambitious. We need to unpack what made the original Discover Weekly so groundbreaking in the first place.
And then detail these core functional changes, especially the new genre filters.
Right, and most importantly, analyze the user fatigue and the competitive pressures that really drove this update after a whole decade.
And we have to explore the implications. I mean, if you're someone who relies on this playlist for your weekly music fix, or if you've ever felt that frustrating algorithm drift.
Oh, I've been there, where it just feels broken.
Exactly. This deep dive is about understanding how you can now, finally, regain the steering wheel. We're going to get into how to use this feature effectively, but also what it signals for, the entire streaming landscape.
Okay, so let's start with the legacy of the original. We have to rewind the clock to 2015.
Right.
When Discover Weekly launched, it wasn't just another playlist. It was a cultural experience. Every Monday morning, 30 personalized songs would just appear.
It was revolutionary because of the mechanism. I mean, it wasn't based on human curators or editorial boards. It was all about collaborative filtering.
And what does that actually mean?
It analyzed three core things. First, your listening history, obviously. Second, what songs you actively saved. And then, and this was the real key, it looked at millions of other people with taste profiles similar to yours.
So it's finding my musical doppelgangers.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. It was see what they were listening to that you hadn't heard yet and say, hey, you might like this.
I remember those early days.
Yeah.
It honestly felt like magic. I had one Monday where it recommended this obscure 90s shoegaze track, and I just thought, how did it know I loved this one band that sounds exactly like that?
And that experience became a genuine social phenomenon.
It absolutely did.
It became the essential Monday ritual, that feeling of a weekly surprise, a connection with a system that seemed to understand you better than your friends sometimes.
That's so true.
And that led to huge success. The sources we've seen show that people have streamed over 100 billion tracks through this single playlist.
100 billion, that's a staggering number.
It really is. That volume cemented its status. It was the weekly water cooler talk. Did Discover Weekly hit for you this week?
But I guess that same technology, that collaborative filtering, while it's powerful, it must have some long-term limitations.
It does. And that's what brings us to the refresh.
Indeed. So, fast forward 10 years. Spotify is using the anniversary to roll out this pretty substantial visual and functional refresh.
Okay, so visually, what are we talking about?
It's a facelift, bolder cover art, a more modern UI, but the functional change is the real game changer, and it's targeted specifically at premium users.
Right. This is the arrival of the personalized genre controls.
Exactly.
So when you open Discover Weekly now, you'll see, up to 5 buttons at the top?
Mm-hmm.
And they're based on your own history?
Up to 5, yeah. So you might see pop, rock, R&B, but maybe also something really specific to you, like hyperpop.
And tapping one of those buttons, it doesn't just filter the list that's already there, right?
No, this is the core new mechanism. The sources suggest it triggers an instant, sophisticated rebuild. The entire 30-track playlist immediately realigns around that specific vibe.
So it's like telling the algorithm, hey, I know you have 10,000 ideas for me, but today, just show me the ones wearing the R&B label.
That's a perfect way to put it. But rebuilding 30 tracks instantly. That sounds really resource-heavy. I mean, what are the chances of getting low-quality recommendations if the algorithm has to pivot that fast?
That's a great question, and it's definitely pushing the envelope, which is probably why it's a premium-only feature for now. But what's crucial to understand is that it's not running a whole new separate model from scratch.
Okay, so how does it work then?
Think of it like this. The core algorithm generates a big pool of potential tracks, maybe 500 songs it thinks you'll like. When you hit that rock filter, it just rapidly rescores that existing pool based on the rock profiles it knows you like, and then serves up the top 30.
So it's not generic rock music. It's my version of rock, tailored to my history, just without the electronic tracks that might have snuck in otherwise.
Precisely. That specificity is what protects the quality, even though the result feels instant.
And this seems like part of a bigger trend on the platform.
Oh, it's an unmistakable movement toward more user agency. Features like hiding tracks or snoozing songs for 30 days. It's all about letting you co-author your own listening experience. So this all raises the big question. If Discover Weekly was so successful, why fix it now? I mean, the 10-year mark is nice for marketing.
But the real drivers were internal. User frustration and, well, competitive necessity.
Let's start with the frustration. What were the specific complaints? It wasn't just vague feelings. Longtime users were reporting that their engagement with the playlist was actually dropping.
Because it felt repetitive, or even worse, it would suffer from this massive algorithm drift.
Exactly. The sources suggest that engagement metrics were starting to plateau. This idea of loss of trust became a real data point for them.
And the drift is the real killer.
It's the fundamental flaw of this kind of filtering. It's really sensitive to sudden short-term behavior. So if you spend a weekend listening to just one genre, say you're studying, and only listen to ambient music.
The algorithm thinks you've completely changed who you are.
Yes. It can't understand context. So you get punished for listening to that one ironic mean song or a niche genre for a project.
And your next 6 Mondays are just ruined. The playlist becomes basically unusable because it's feeding you metal when all you want is some low-key jazz for your commute.
Exactly right. So these genre controls are a direct response to that overcorrection problem. It lets the user reassert the context and say, algorithm, I know I binged metal last week, but my baseline is R&B. Filter for that, please.
And we can't ignore the competitive pressure, right? That really must have forced their hand. It's not enough to just say AI DJ. We need to understand why that feature threatened Discover Weekly.
Because the AI DJ and the new text-to-playlist features, they offer immediate interactive discovery. You can tell the AI exactly what you want, a mix of 80s synth pop for a rainy afternoon.
And that immediacy makes the old model once a week, take it or leave it, feel really passive.
It feels outdated. The competition is moving toward hyper-customized, real-time generation. If Discover Weekly stayed a static black box surprise, it was at risk of becoming the platform's least sophisticated discovery tool.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this refresh signals a definitive philosophical shift. The era of just, blind faith in the algorithm. That's over.
It is. People want the system to do the heavy lifting, but they refuse to surrender the steering wheel entirely. It's an admission that the algorithm needs a co-pilot.
Right.
Which brings us to a really interesting listener dilemma. Is gaining all this control actually worth the risk of losing the magic? That true left field surprise?
That is the core conflict, isn't it? I mean, the argument for the improvement is obvious. It solves the chaotic blend problem. I can align the playlist with my mood or a task, which is incredibly useful.
If you only have 30 minutes, you want those 30 tracks to be focused.
For sure. And like we said, it acts as a protection against that drift. You can protect your main musical identity. If one of your 5 main genres is suddenly taking over, these filters let you tell the system, no, I need to see the other 4 again.
But the concern is also very real.
It is. If I always filter for indie rock, I'm never going to stumble upon that surprising Brazilian funk track that the old algorithm might have found. Just because people who like my kind of indie rock also happen to listen to it.
You're building yourself a musical bubble.
Exactly.
That's the trade-off. Critics worry that by making the playlist mood-aligned and hyper-filtered, we're just eliminating serendipity. But the outcome, I think, depends entirely on user behavior.
Right. If you treat the buttons like cages and lock yourself into one lane, your discovery is going to narrow.
But if you treat these filters not as a way to restrict the algorithm, but as different doors into your taste profile.
I like that. So if I normally listen to alt pop, maybe one week I intentionally hit the electronica filter, just to force the algorithm to show me what I like within that adjacent space.
That's how you maintain the magic while using the control. You're leveraging the specificity. The algorithm is still doing the heavy lifting, but you're just pointing it in a specific direction.
So if you just alternate between the 5 filters week to week, you could actually expand your discovery faster than just waiting for the old black box to surprise you.
Potentially, yeah. You could explore your own profile much more systematically.
Let's shift focus now to the supply side. Discover Weekly was this massive engine for exposure. I mean, it could change an independent artist's career literally overnight.
It could.
So what does this pivot to filtering mean for the music ecosystem and for the creators themselves?
For artists, this is probably both terrifying and exciting. In the old, unfiltered playlist, a really niche artist, say a dark ambient composer, they were fighting against pop, rock, and everything else for a listener's attention.
It was spray and pray exposure. You just had to hope the listener was in the right mood when your track came on.
Exactly. Now it's targeted matching. If you're that hyperpop creator and a user clicks the hyperpop button, you know that listener is actively seeking that genre right now.
So the exposure is more qualified.
Drastically more qualified, which should lead to better save rates, higher engagement, and ultimately better revenue for the artist.
So fewer random placements, but the ones you do get are more meaningful.
Yeah.
What's the trade-off here for them?
The competition within each genre lane gets significantly fiercer.
I see.
If millions of users click the indie button on a Monday, the algorithm has to select the absolute best 30 indie tracks for each of them from a colossal pool of music.
So artists now have to really optimize their metadata, their genre tags, mood tags, all of that.
With surgical precision. If Spotify's system can't categorize you accurately, you simply won't even qualify for the filter in the first place.
Wow, that's a massive insight. It makes the administrative side of releasing music not just important, but a real competitive advantage.
It's everything. You have to make sure the system recognizes you as post-punk if you want to be discovered by the listener who specifically clicks that button. This is a game changer for how niche acts get found. So for you, the listener who's ready to jump in and try this, we want to close with 4 actionable strategies for using the new Discover Weekly effectively.
Okay, tip number 1. Treat those genre buttons like presets, not permanent cages.
Please.
If you only ever click pop, you're missing the entire point of discovery. You have up to 5 choices every Monday. Rotate them. Choose electronic one week, alternative the next. Use the control to force the algorithm to show you all the different facets of your own taste.
Tip number 2. Be an active and decisive participant. This applies with or without the filters. Save what you love, skip what you hate. Remember those other features like the hide or snooze functions? Clear feedback teaches the system what not to send you.
Which only makes the new genre filters perform even better next time.
Precisely.
Tip number 3. When you find a favorite, act on it immediately. Discover Weekly is temporary by design. Those 30 songs vanish next Monday.
They're gone. So add that track to your library or drop it into a permanent playlist. That's the only way your discoveries actually live on and keep influencing your recommendations.
And finally, tip number 4. Every so often, maybe once a month, just don't use the filters at all.
Yes.
Open the playlist and let the old-school, pure algorithm run wild. See what chaos it serves up. You might just capture that original left-field surprise that made the playlist famous in the first place.
That randomness is so essential for breaking out of your own listening habits.
So what does this all mean? To summarize, after a decade, Discover Weekly has really evolved. It's moved from being this passive, dictatorial black box
to a personalization engine with steering wheels.
I like that. Genre controls, a fresh design, and a much more collaborative feel between you, the listener, and the algorithm.
And this update, it signals the undeniable future of streaming strategy. It is a definitive shift away from the algorithm knows best to the algorithm plus you.
Users expect control alongside the surprise now.
They do. And platforms have to build tools that empower the user to refine the output, not just accept it.
So if these genre controls succeed, if they boost engagement and user happiness, here's the provocative thought. What could possibly be next? We're talking beyond just genre.
We could see a move toward multidimensional controls. It's technically way harder, but imagine being able to fine-tune sliders for, say, energy or mood or even tempo.
So you wouldn't just filter by rock, but you could filter by melancholy rock specifically.
Exactly. And honestly, the future of discovery could be something like a chaos mode or a serendipity slider.
I love that idea.
A button designed for when you just tell the algorithm, I am bored of everything I know. Surprise me with tracks that have less than a 5% match to my usual taste.
That's using control to actually maximize unexpected discovery.
It is. Ultimately, the success of the next decade of Discover Weekly really rests on how you decide to use this newfound control to shape your own musical journey.
Use it wisely, and the platform will serve you better than ever before. We hope you're ready to dive into your next Monday surprise.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.